Imagine a small, weathered inn standing beside a muddy road in medieval England. My name is Agnes. Every morning, long before the sun dares to rise, I wake in the freezing dark. The smoke from the hearth stings my eyes, and the damp smell of straw drifts up from the stable below. My blankets are thin, almost useless against the cold. On the worst winter nights, I sleep wrapped in my cloak, clutching it tight like a child. Firewood is dear, and so am I to no one but myself. This is not the romantic inn you hear about in songs. This is my real life. My hands are rough and cracked, red from hauling endless buckets of water from the well, from kneading heavy dough before dawn, and from scrubbing tables stained with ale, grease, and the mess left by men who drank too much. The building itself is old and crooked. The beams are black with years of smoke. Candles are too precious to waste, so most of my days pass in the soft, flickering glow of the hearth. Outside, the world is mud and misery. Pigs wander freely. Carts creak past carrying wool, tools, or salted fish. Travelers arrive exhausted. Merchants, pilgrims, wandering knights, and the desperate ones with nothing left but hope. Many cannot pay with silver. They offer me rabbit pelts, small trinkets, a few hours of labor, or news from the wide, dangerous world. And news is almost as valuable as coin. Through my door pass stories of wars, of villages burned to the ground, of plague creeping closer, of executions in the town square. I listen carefully, always listening, because in times like these, knowing what's coming can mean the difference between life and death. A loud-mouthed mercenary bragging about stolen silver might bring armed men in the night. A quiet priest speaking of blackened skin in the next village, that whisper can save us all. Every stranger is both a blessing and a threat. In the afternoons, the inn grows loud and thick with smoke. Peasants come to forget their hard lives with weak ale. Merchants grumble about taxes and greedy lords. Hunters tie their muddy dogs outside, or sometimes bring them in anyway. The smell inside is heavy. Wet wool, sweat, onions boiling, spilled beer, and the constant drift of manure from the stable. Yet to the travelers who have walked for days through rain and forest, this smoky little room feels like heaven. I rarely sit down. I pour, I serve, I cook pottage, I feed horses, and I watch, always watching. A woman running an inn learns quickly that kindness must walk hand in hand with strength. Drunk men test me every day. Some see my smile and think it means weakness. They learn otherwise. I keep a kitchen knife close when I need to, and my tongue has grown sharp enough to cut when words are the only weapon I have. Then comes the evening. The common room glows with warm firelight. Shadows dance across tired, weathered faces. Outside, rain taps softly on the thatch roof while horses snort in the stable. Voices grow quieter. A wandering pilgrim leans in close and whispers about strange deaths in a nearby town, how people's skin turned black before they passed. For a moment, the whole room falls silent. In these times, fear is never far away, and yet, here we are, tired, rough, but still opening our door to the road. This is my life, dear traveler. This is the real story of the little inn by the muddy road. Night is the most dangerous time to own a medieval inn. Once true darkness falls over the countryside, the world outside becomes something ancient and terrifying. There are no safe lantern-lit streets, no watchful guards, and no certainty about the men drinking at your tables. My name is Agnes, and tonight the wind howls against these old walls so fiercely that the wooden shutters rattle like dry bones. The fire crackles low in the hearth, while exhausted travelers huddle together beneath the thick, smoky ceiling. Some sleep sitting upright, still clutching their mugs. Others gamble with carved bone dice, whispering accusations of cheating. In the corner near the fire, a group of hardened mercenaries sits in their muddy armor, speaking in low voices about villages burned during a lord's feud to the north. Close by, a young monk tries to copy prayers into his worn little book, doing his best not to look afraid of the armed men beside him. I move constantly between the tables, carrying bowls of thin stew made from cabbage, onions, barley, and whatever scraps of meat I can spare. Food must stretch, because in these times, supplies are never certain. If winter bites hard or the harvest fails, starvation waits for all of us. I survive by planning every small thing. salted meat hangs from the ceiling beams, ale is stored deep in the cool corners, rats scratch inside the walls no matter how many cats I keep in the kitchen, and sickness is simply part of life. Travelers arrive coughing after weeks on filthy roads, and every fever that appears in my inn spreads a quiet fear through the room. I have seen death before. Years ago, my own younger brother slipped away sweating and burning in his bed while priests prayed and burned herbs around him. Nothing could save him. So whenever someone whispers about plague in nearby towns, a cold dread still settles deep in my stomach. Yet the inn cannot close its doors. If travelers stop coming, I stop eating. Around midnight, the storm grows even worse. Rain hammers the roof and thunder rolls across the dark countryside. Suddenly, the stable boy bursts inside, pale as death, saying he saw figures standing near the tree line beside the road. The entire room falls silent. Everyone knows the stories, how highway robbers love storms like this, how they wait to trap lonely inns filled with tired travelers. One mercenary grips his sword tightly, another spits into the fire. I move quietly to bar the main door, trying not to let my hands shake. This is my life now, a woman who must be part cook, part merchant, part healer, and part guard captain all at once. Sleep itself becomes dangerous because someone must always stay awake to watch over the house. Upstairs, travelers lie packed tightly on straw mattresses crawling with fleas. The wealthy may have small private rooms, but most sleep shoulder to shoulder beneath rough blankets, listening to strangers snore, cough, pray, or cry softly in the darkness. I climb the creaking stairs with a single candle, checking each room carefully. One man mutters in his sleep from fever. Another clutches a small wooden cross with trembling fingers. Outside my tiny window, the medieval world stretches on into endless black forests, muddy roads, ruined villages, and distant castles ruled by men I will never meet. Yet despite all the danger and exhaustion, my little inn remains a rare flicker of warmth in a cold, brutal world. For one night, at least, these souls have a fire, a roof, and the sound of human voices instead of wolves beyond the trees. By the time dawn finally arrives, I have barely slept an hour. The storm has passed, leaving behind a cold, grey morning where thick fog clings low over the muddy road. My name is Agnes, and before the sun has even fully risen, the work begins again. The hearth must be relit, water hauled from the well, even as the freezing air bites my hands raw. Horses need feeding. Travelers are already demanding breakfast before they continue their long journeys toward distant castles, monasteries, or crowded market towns. Medieval life does not pause just because you are tired. Exhaustion is simply part of every single day. Downstairs, the common room smells of wet ashes, stale ale, and sleeping bodies. A merchant snores loudly near the fireplace, while one of the mercenaries from last night quietly sharpens his blade against the wall. The young monk left long before sunrise, offering only a small wooden prayer token because he carried almost no coin. That is how it often is. We survive more through barter, favors, and kindness than through silver alone. A traveler may repay you weeks later by repairing a broken wheel, chopping firewood, or bringing important news from far away. In this world, relationships matter because no one else is coming to protect you. Outside, the countryside slowly wakes. Farmers guide their oxen through the mud. Thin smoke rises from tiny cottages scattered across the hills. Most people here will never travel more than a few miles from where they were born, but my little inn, it connects so many lives. In just 1 week, I may hear tales from crusaders returning from the Holy Land, minstrels singing of kings, or frightened refugees running from famine and war. Through them, I understand how truly harsh and uncertain life is beyond our small village. A bad harvest in one place sends starving families onto the roads. A lord's quarrel can burn entire settlements in days. Weather itself feels like an enemy, and sickness, it comes without warning. Many believe it is divine punishment, evil spirits, or witchcraft, because true medicine is almost nothing. Sometimes, in the quiet hours, I wonder if they are right. I still remember one winter when a traveler died upstairs after coughing blood onto the blankets. For weeks afterward, no one wanted to sleep in that room. Some whispered his spirit still walked the hallway after midnight. Superstition and faith walk hand in hand here. Travelers nail charms above the stable doors. Priests bless the ale barrels. I keep my own small iron cross hidden beneath the counter, and I touch it whenever a stranger makes me uneasy. By evening, the inn fills once more with new faces and fresh stories. A young couple fleeing an arranged marriage sits quietly near the fire. A wounded hunter rests with a torn wolf pelt across his shoulder. In the corner, an old man swears he once saw a dragon-like creature flying over distant mountains, though many laugh at him. Candlelight flickers across tired faces as soft rain begins falling outside again, and as I stand behind this worn wooden counter, pouring another mug of weak ale into rough, calloused hands, I feel it deeply. My inn is more than just a business. In this brutal world of hunger, cold, war, sickness, and endless fear, it has become a small, precious shelter, a place where strangers can gather beside warmth and human voices before stepping back onto the dangerous roads beyond the firelight. Thank you for joining us tonight on Living History. I hope your heart felt every bit of the cold, the smoke, the weariness, and the quiet warmth of that little roadside inn. For a short while, we stepped together into the hard but very human world of Agnes, a medieval innkeeper, where every night brought danger, every morning brought work, and a simple fire became a blessing. If there's another time period or historical life you'd like to experience next, whether it's a Viking longhouse, a samurai village, an ancient Roman street, or anything else, just let us know down in the comments. Your voice matters here. And until next time, rest well, dear traveler, stay safe on your own road, and may you always find a warm fire waiting when the night grows dark.